So she'll tell you about Fusion and how their whole grains are helping them build a community. So, yeah.
All right, so thank you very much. When he said that he's a chef, so he's not used to getting up and giving presentations, couldn't relate to him more. I'm actually not a chef. I'm a restaurant operations girl, so I really have no idea how to do. And actually, I don't see the clicker up here. Is it up here? Sorry. So I didn't even attempt, but I did bring pictures, and I brought a good explanation of, there we go. Thank you. Good job, by the way. Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for being in the room, for showing up. You guys are all furthering your commitment to source, educate, and utilize ingredients that are more natural, nourishing, and ultimately it's going to lead to a healthier lifestyle for many. I am extremely honored to be here today. I am joining you from a sushi restaurant in Ohio, and where everyone's brain just went to cornfields and like sushi and the total disconnect. I totally want to assure you that right now, as we speak, there's a couple hundred very young, very enthusiastic go-getters out there right now seeking to change the game entirely with feeding people sushi, actually. So cue in the concept, Fusion. I wouldn't even dare to ask, is anyone here from Ohio, number one? Okay, we got 2 people. Have either of you ever been to Fusion? Okay, so it's in Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus. Okay, cool. So I brought you some images just quickly. First of all, I'm guessing that you can't even believe that something like this exists in Ohio. So I totally came prepared to understand that no one's going to know what Fusion is. This concept is probably going to be the first time you're hearing about it. And so just to give you a little bit of background, Fusion is a fast, casual, build-your-own sushi concept. So much like the Chipotle and the other build-your-own concepts in the world right now, we're taking that concept and we're putting it around sushi. Why? So we all like sushi a lot. It's actually an extremely healthy product. It's got your rice, seaweed, you've got proteins, you've got any kind of ingredients. Who in this room, because we have some chefs and we have some dietitians, who in this room can tell me what the definition of sushi is? Holy cow, that was amazing. Yeah, I'm really happy to be in this room. Everyone's like, it's raw fish, it stinks, it smells, it makes me sick. So, very nicely done. So yes, it is vinegared rice. And normally when you say sushi, not in this room, but in any other room, everyone's mind immediately goes to like nigiri or sashimi, which is actually raw fish cut up, or it's the raw fish over a bed of rice. At Fusion, we are actually focused on maki rolls. So maki is defined as wrap rice, proteins, fillings, anything that you want to put in it. You can put fruits, vegetables. We have taken this concept and we have completely deconstructed the idea of what it means to assemble a sushi roll. So we've actually introduced things like roasted chicken, braised steak, roasted tofu. We've got your shrimp tempura. We've got your cooked crab. And then we encourage you to get really creative with fruits, vegetables. We rotate out an ingredient once a month. Like a lot of concepts, we use local suppliers. So we're always working with farms in Ohio to source the next best ingredient to put in a sushi roll. We put strawberries with some tuna in June. It's a lot of fun. We got mangoes in May. We're getting ready to do sweet potato, everyone's favorite. So we try to keep it really exciting. And everything is assembled right in front of you on the line. So when it comes down to the concept, there's 3 reasons why people don't eat sushi, typically. One is they think it's raw fish. So the first thing is we built an entire concept around the fact that it does not have to be just raw fish, okay? If you're vegan, you can get roasted tofu in your roll. It's all about what you want. It's putting power into the guest's hands of what they want to eat, but giving them a roadmap of how to eat healthy. And the second is seaweed wraps. So people don't really like, I love seaweed. I would be like the biggest advocate for seaweed if I could, if I had more time in my day. Packed full of a ton of vitamins and nutrients. You know, it's a superfood, so I push seaweed all day, every day. However, some people don't like the texture. It's really tough. It's really salty. And cue in the soy wrap made from edamame beans. And they have no idea what's in it. So when you take those 3 objections about sushi, you give them the power to choose what goes in it. You give them more options so that they don't have to have the seaweed wrap. And then you give them more options of like chicken and rice and vegetables. Who didn't grow up eating those things if you grew up in a house eating meat? So it's a little bit more familiar. So when I say Ohio and I say we're changing the game with sushi, this is what I mean. So we have 10 locations. We're located in Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus. We're getting ready to expand to Toledo and Cleveland up north. And we're really proud of Ohio. We're all from Ohio. We would travel the world and we would see fresh eating. I actually was a vegetarian my entire life, being raised in Ohio, so I didn't have a ton of options. I didn't have a lot of education available to me. And so we're really proud of the work that we're able to do through sushi and providing this in an affordable, fast. It takes under 10 minutes to get through the line. It's under $10 to get in a meal. We have an all-natural beverage line that's made from all fresh ingredients. So when you actually get a lemonade, it's made from lemons, water, naturally sweetened by agave. Got a lavender lemonade that steeps with lavender. It's really just like taking all boundaries around sushi and just breaking them. So why are we at the Whole Grains Council Conference? Well, basically we started in 2010. Like I said, I don't really have a fancy PowerPoint at all to go along with this. I'm going to actually connect with you guys through telling a story. That is how Fusion has always come to exist. It's through word of mouth. It's from actually feeding people sushi. If I could have, I would have brought all of our team. I would have brought our machines. I would have rolled sushi live and fed you. That's how you make friends. It's easier to understand that way. But we started in 2010 in downtown Cincinnati, and we catered to a very large business crowd. So the concept worked really, really well because it's fast and it's casual and it's affordable, and you can get hundreds of people through the line very quickly. When everyone is centric in a business area and they all go and break at the same time, they all want to get through the line really quickly at the same time. So we had a concept that we can get 150 people through a line, in 1 hour, and we could just do that for 4 hours straight. It's what we call cranking. We have a lot of energy. We get jacked up in the morning. We're excited. We dance. It's a lot of fun. It's like no rush you'll ever feel before. But basically, we were doing that. We expanded up to Dayton for our second location in 2011, which is actually conveniently located on a college campus, which is huge. You've got tons of hungry college kids with access to their parents' wallets who really took a liking to the concept, and they loved it. They were empowered to try new things. They felt like they were getting a healthy product, and they were, and it's really affordable. So what we didn't anticipate, which I'm really glad happened, is outside the college campus, there were suburbs or neighborhoods or communities. And in those communities were high schools, elementary schools, junior high schools. And next thing you know, we had high school students coming in who could leave their high school for lunch. They would come in and get Fusion for lunch. Or 4 o'clock would hit, and next thing you know, our dining room turned into the after-school hangout. I'm from Dayton, so I can kind of relate to what these kids were doing. They were grasping onto anything new. It was healthy. It was fresh. They're not getting it at home. And I can take my 10 friends there and be at the cool hangout that's playing my music, and it's upbeat, and it's friendly and fun, and I'm safe. I'm eating a good product, and I'm having fun with my friends. So basically, this is where the story comes in. One day, a superintendent from one of the local high schools came in and saw about 10 students sitting at a table and goes, where are all these students in my cafeteria? Students, high school students eat sushi. So she couldn't believe it. She was like coming in to get a roll for her and her husband. She saw all the students sitting there, and she's like, I've never seen you in the cafeteria. I didn't even know high school students liked sushi. And they were just telling her. They were, like, educating her on the entire process. Like, yeah, we like Fusion because you can get what you like, and da-da-da-da, and there's a peanut butter and jelly roll. And the superintendent actually reached out to the owners of Fusion, Zach, Josh, and Steve, and she basically just prompted, like, come on in. Let's have a conversation about how we might be able to bring this product to our high school. So we went and entertained the conversation. We learned a lot about the trends and what's happening in cafeterias right now. And this was still 2011. So this was before the National School Lunch Program was really introduced and full blown, which I think anyone who's related to that can agree that it happened really quickly. So she actually took a chance on us, and we actually went to the Department of Agriculture, and we got a license for wholesale distribution. Now, our entire concept, we sought out to bring sushi to the masses, make it more accessible, deconstruct the ideas behind why sushi has to be a scary thing to eat. We wanted to make it affordable, fun, just vibrant. And, now we have this school program that have, the children are looking up to you, and they're like, okay, tell me what I'm eating, tell me what I'm doing. And that's a lot of responsibility. And when you go to the Department of Agriculture to get a wholesale license, you're basically getting a license that says, I'm going to learn how to package up my product, and I'm going to distribute it to hundreds of people. It's a great way to make a lot of money. But for us, we were really scared. If we slap labels on this sushi and we just put it out for distribution, what if it makes hundreds of people sick? So we actually catered our entire program to be service-oriented. So we actually send our team members with our sushi rolls into cafeterias, into hospital cafeterias, corporate cafeterias, now at OSU Athletics. It's expanded like crazy. And we actually serve the sushi. So we will follow our HACCP and our Department of Agriculture guidelines to assemble these on site, and then we will package them. They'll be in 10-piece packaged rolls. We'll take them off-site with 2 of our team members, branded Fusion. They have the knowledge of Fusion. They can sell you. They can tell you what sushi's about. They can educate you. They can give you your options. And then we customize the sauces and toppings on site. So we can make it sweet, spicy, crunchy, however your preference is. So there's still the customizable. We basically wanted to make sure that this fit our brand still and what our overall mission is. So this was 2011. It was widely popular. Students were buying them. We were taking 100 twice a week to one school. That school director went and talked to other school directors, went to the National School or the School Nutrition Association conference, started telling other food service directors, and next thing you know, the phone started ringing. Any food service director in Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus that had like a slight hint to do something new or cool or bring a new option into the cafeteria was calling us, and they were taking a huge chance. At the time, we were serving white rice. Our entire restaurant, our entire concept, we had just opened our 4th restaurant, and we were serving white rice. Now, for anyone who is culinary-based, chef-based in this room, you're kind of probably thinking, how do they take this craft that people spend 60, to 80 years trying to perfect, and how do they have a bunch of kids doing it in 10 different restaurants? Well, we have 3 pieces of equipment that are very crucial to the success of our business. One is called a maki press, and you actually load rice into the top of the machine, and you press a button, and it spits out a consistent sheet of rice every single time set to your length and width and your consistency of rice kernels. The second machine is a cutter unit. So we actually assemble the roll all the way through, roll it, and then we put that sushi roll into a cutter unit where we crank it twice, and it cuts it into 10 pieces. And then we plate it and sauce it and top it. The third, you can't see, and it's the one that people forget about. It's the most important. It cools sushi rice down to room temperature in less than 5 minutes. So we actually cook our rice using gas cookers. We wash and rinse it with our hands. We do the whole process up until cooling it, pretty traditional. And then when we cool it, we put it in this machine that kind of rocks it like a baby, and it spits air through it, and it cools it down to room temperature so that you can use the rice to make sushi, because sushi is assembled at room temperature. Now, take you back. Our concept was built on white rice. We had 4 restaurants open. We have aggressive expansion plans. So the school lunch program hits the standards about 2013, 2014. All these school directors are calling me, and mind you, I'm like head in the sushi game, working on teams, building teams, opening restaurants, just trying to figure out HVAC problems, hood units, all that stuff. And I get a phone call about our Sushi in Schools program from the first director, and she says, "Hey, Teresa, what are you doing to address the school lunch standards that are going to affect your product?" And I was literally on a headset in the back of our kitchen doing dishes, and I went, "I'm sorry, I can't hear. Wait, can you say that again?" And then I walked out, and she says it again. I'm like, "I don't actually know what you're talking about. I'm sorry." And I just was completely honest. She said, "I'm going to send you a brochure over after your shift. Take a look at it. Tell us what you think." That's the first time I'd ever laid my eyes on the Smart Snacks guidelines for the National School Lunch Program. So I've heard it come up a couple times, and I know that it's going to be brought up later. But the School Lunch Program, just really quickly, were the new guidelines that were set forth for dining standards for any K through 12 students. And the first requirement is that your product has to be whole grain rich, which, first of all, I love. It's great. It's awesome. But at the time, I was sitting there, most of those equipment, the 3 equipments that I mentioned, each cost like $10,000 a piece. And so I'm sitting there we have 4 restaurants. I need another maki press at the very least to implement brown rice. It's a conversation we had already been starting because we had many customers coming in asking for brown rice. And we were like, this is a great idea. It's just we have no idea without a second machine how to accommodate white and brown rice at the same time. And what does that mean for our other operational procedures? Basically, that entire conversation, so we don't meet as a meal for the school lunch program. We're not an entire all-encompassing entree, but we're classified as an a la carte entree. So we have to meet certain requirements when it comes down to calories, sodium, vitamins, nutrients, and you have to be whole grain rich. So we were basically being faced with a decision of we either figure out a way to put brown rice in our restaurants or we just lose this program. If you could see the kids and their faces when it's Sushi Friday, when it's Fusion Friday, and they line up by we have a school has 250 students line up out the door, and they've got all their money in hands and they're ready to go. That's a reason in and itself you're there's no way we're making brown rice. We have to make brown rice work today. This has to happen. At the time, we had maybe 10, 15 schools, but we knew we were going to go into more communities. We knew that this was building such a strong brand loyalty and a new consumer for us. We were building customers who were literally entering their teenage years knowing what sushi is and knowing that you could get brown rice in your sushi. You could get chicken in your sushi. So this just meant the world to us. So we ended up, bootstrapping just like everything else that we've done to get here today. And we ended up making the investment in the extra machines for our 4 restaurants. Every restaurant package to date has 2 machines. Every restaurant is serving brown rice. So obviously, we're not going to implement and spend time innovating a recipe not to serve brown rice to our retail guests as well, so the people coming in and out of the restaurants every single day. So we reframed everything, and we just completely changed the game. And this is how we were kind of recommended even for this, is because we actually have about a 50-50 split on guests that are getting brown rice or white rice. And anyone who does sushi rice or has ever attempted, you know that the water and the vinegar is like the most important key. Those are the two key elements to getting it to where it needs to be. And brown rice is really, 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 really hard. So when we made this investment, myself and our chef, we ended up actually going to a drawing room because we had about, when these standards were released, we had about like 3 weeks to come up with the answer before the school year. So again, if you don't know about the National School Lunch Program, if you don't meet these requirements, you actually lose your funding for free and reduced student population. And in Ohio, we have school systems that are like 80% free and reduced. So they're not going to say, yeah, Fusion, come on in and serve your sushi, and I'm going to just lose all my funding. We're a part of their audit. We get inspected and audited the same as them. So our product had to meet those needs. When we went through, we buckled down in a room. I became a registered dietitian really quickly. I was calling every registered dietitian I knew. I had like a roommate from college that was a dietitian. I called her like, hey, can you like teach me your job like in 5 seconds? I just need to figure out what we're going to do to serve sushi in schools. And then we ended up coming up with our recipes for brown rice. Brown rice is a lot more difficult than white, but brown rice is actually it's actually more natural of how rice is harvested. It's actually harvested with that hull on the outside, that protective coating that makes it brown rice. It's really high in fiber and nutrients. And what happens is actually send it through a milling process, thousands of times to grain it down to that white rice. White rice, when it's milled down, water can penetrate it, vinegar can penetrate it so much easier. Brown rice, not so much. So you can imagine we're in our kitchens just trying to get this to stick to seaweed wraps, and it was just, the humidity was a factor, the heat was a factor, how many people were in the restaurant were a factor. It was just like, it was insane. So fast forward, we have 10 restaurants today. We're going to be opening probably 7 more next year. We do plan on taking this concept outside of Ohio. All of them are serving white and brown rice. Again, it's about 50% either way, and it's provided us a huge platform for education. When you see, an 8-year-old student walk in with their parents to a sushi restaurant, and they're walking the parents through how to order, like, no, Mom, you're going to want brown rice because it's higher in fiber and this and that, because we actually have, like, education around the program. So we partnered with the Fruits and Veggies grant program to actually go into the schools that can't afford to have our school program, and we actually go in and do veggie sushi rolls on brown rice with seaweed for free. Every week we go to a different elementary school in Cincinnati Public Schools. So you have kids just learning how to eat differently, and they're bringing their parents in to eat differently, and then all of a sudden you've just changed the whole concept of what family dinner means. This program, just quickly, we're in about over 40 schools between Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus. We're outside of just high schools now. We're actually in junior high schools, and we're actually in like 2 different elementary schools, which was crazy. My first time going to sell like an elementary school, I walked into the cafeteria, thought it was going to be the hardest sell ever, and I looked down and like there's this little 7-year-old girl, and she opens her sushi box or her lunch box, and there's sushi inside of it that she had brought from home. I'm like, maybe this isn't going to be as hard as I thought. So yeah, we're in 40 different schools. We're serving about 3,000 students weekly sushi between all of them. And we also, it's just grown past that even. We have corporate cafeterias like Luxottica, Battelle, Cardinal Health, Citigroup, Nationwide. They've all called us. They want us a part of their cafeterias. So we've went through guest restaurant certifications with Airmark and different companies so that we can serve. And then that opened up even into another whirlwind of actually being inside of hospitals. And we are in 4 different hospitals, 2 of which are children's hospitals, serving our products. So we go in, again, with our team, our sushi, our sauces and toppings. We set up shop. All we ask for is like a 6-foot, 8-foot space. So we can do an existing serving station, or we can create a new serving station. And we bring everything. We bring the labor, the product, everything. And they put a button in the point of sale system, and then they just let us go. And every week we come in and do service at most of these places. So that's kind of what we're doing, just access to healthy ingredients, using a whole grain rich product, getting access to kids, changing their way of thinking, way of eating, and then it's trickling into parents, into families, and yeah, sushi for life. Any questions?
Just one. What's the brown rice? Is it medium grain, short grain?
Medium grain, yeah.
Okay.
It's Nishiki brand.
Oh, yeah.
You can get my contact information.
Yeah, no, I will, because I'm K-12. What you're doing is unbelievable. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah. I love it so much. It's been really crazy to have the kids come up and interact with you about the ingredients, and you're just hosting a different conversation. When a second grader's talking to you about whole grains, and I remember the schools were really scared because they didn't have the funding of dietitians or chefs, and they were just cutting back portions, and they didn't know how to introduce new ingredients. And so we were like a blessing in disguise at this time, and we made it exciting and fun. And now, like, students, everyone was worried, like, do you think students are going to hate it? And we're like, I don't know, let's just give it a try and see what happens. You can barely tell the difference, so.
Any other questions? All right. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa.